a sensitive constitutional issue that goes to the very birthright, to the heart of the very existence of the Turks and Caicos Islanders.
The town hall meetings held by electoral advisor Kate Sullivan on the very issue were poorly attended. However, the host of a local radio program, Talk of the Town, aired on 98.9 FM, Daryl Miller, could hardly contain the calls that flowed in during his show on the topic of constitutional and electoral reform last week. That show was not recorded by Miller, but News 4 caught up with him to discuss the reviews.
Well, when we threw that proposition out to the public, we got a resounding no, no, no. One lady called and said, Mr. Miller, 1,000 times no. We believe the right or the entitlement to vote and the right or the entitlement to run for office should be left to belongers and belongers only.
Guest on that show was Queen's Counsel and candidate for PNP leadership Carlos Simons, who expressed his views on the enlargement of the franchise. According to Miller, Simons says it should be enlarged within limits.
First of all, the proposition was put by Carlos Simons, who is a Queen's Counsel, meaning an esteemed, experienced lawyer. He put the proposition that there should be limited extension of the franchise. In other words, he is in favor of granting belongership automatically, so to speak, or at least transparently, to those who have been here, say, 20 years and who have made meaningful contributions, to allow them then, under the belongership status, to be able to vote and to be able to run for office.
Additionally, Simon says he hopes to release a full statement on his position on the issue soon. Now, News 4 took to the streets yesterday to get residents' views on the issue.
I think that people that have a strong conscience about the country should be allowed to vote. People that are actually going to be more formidable in the country, such as belongers. I don't think people that have no connections or ties with the country should be allowed to have that indigenous say about the country. You live here, you vote.
I think that if you've qualified for belongership, you probably have earned the right to vote.
I guess it depends on the Constitution, among other things. I'm almost certain it's not something you can just pick out the air like that, so I don't know.
They would contrast the whole system because they'll have a different way of thinking and the environment is different. They're not really here, they're just here working because of livelihoods and stuff like that. So they should leave us alone, leave our election alone and stay outside of it.
No, they shouldn't vote.
Why is that?
Huh?
Why is that?
If they become a citizen, but if they're not a citizen, they shouldn't vote.
News 4 also caught up with another candidate for PNP leadership, E.J. Saunders, who had similar views to those of his opponent on the issue.
Well, I think that in terms of enlarging the franchise, I think that we should definitely look at being able to increase the voter population, but it's about how. I think that there are people in the Turks and Caicos who wasn't born here that should be allowed to vote, but those people should be based on their contribution to the country and not just monetary contribution, but contribution in terms of culture, in terms of what they've given back to education, in terms of what they've given to the youth, and all those sorts of things. So I think time frame should be based on it. But I think if it, in terms of just getting the voters' populations bigger, I think I'm against that. But I am in support of people who've been living here for a long time being able to get a right to vote. But those people should be here for a number of years and made a significant contribution, and not contribution in terms of financial contribution. But just for the basic portion of it, I'm not in support of just enlarging the franchise for the sake of enlarging it.
Constitutional and electoral reform continues in the country, with aims of having the Constitution finalized by January 2011. For WIV4 News, I'm Joy Del Trail.